if you want to be a part of this family, we are goal-oriented, we are aggressive, we expect these things out of you.
So I'm going to sound like your grandpa. This is something to consider as you guys grow. And one of the things I learned, I had no idea, right? I had several people over the years come into my office off the plant floor. You know, they came in and I'm thinking these guys are they're gonna resign, or they want to come tell me, hey, this, I got to move on or whatever. We have team members in our company that don't have family. So we are their family. They've come to us and told us, EnviroPlast over the years has been my family. That's all I got.
Yeah, we're getting beat this morning.
Welcome to Making Sparks, the podcast where we ignite your passion for metal fabrication and fuel your business success. Join industry leaders and dive deep into the world of metalworking. From business insights to tips of the trade, Making Sparks is your forge of knowledge. During each episode, discover success stories, innovative solutions, and expert interviews that light the path to business growth. Subscribe today and grow and improve your company, and let's make sparks fly together.
Welcome back to Making Sparks. I'm your host, Casey Voelker, sitting here with my co-host, Matthew Nix. We're in the beautiful Poseyville, Indiana, and today we don't have a metal fabricator guest. Who do we have today?
We don't have a metal fabricator guest, but we have a manufacturing guest. And I think that's one of the common threads with all of our listeners. So got Mr. Jim Stratman here with me today. And Jim's been a friend of mine for, probably close to 10 years now. And we were introduced to each other by a mutual mentor. And, it'd be fun to do a whole podcast series on that. Isn't life such a cool spider web of connections, especially if you embrace it? So we had a mutual mentor that was telling each other, he was like, you got to meet Jim. And he was telling Jim, you got to meet Matthew. And so we finally connected. Jim ended up serving a term on our advisory board of our company. So that tells you, how much I respect and admire him and what he's done. And he's going to share a little bit about his journey here. So just give us a quick background and tell a little about your journey, and then we'll dive into some questions.
This episode of Making Sparks is brought to you by Paperless Parts. Are you tired of the complexity that comes with quoting and manufacturing? Paperless Parts is here to help. As the #1 quoting and collaboration software for manufacturers, Paperless Parts simplifies every step of your quoting process in a single, centralized environment. With patented technology, their automated costing and pricing logic is tailored specifically to your shop, making it easier and faster to generate consistent quotes across your entire estimating team. Plus, Paperless Parts meets the rigorous standards of FedRAMP and CMMC, giving you confidence that your data is secure. By streamlining your workflow, Paperless Parts saves you time, boosts profitability, and helps you deliver an unbeatable customer experience. Ready to level up your shop's quoting process? Visit paperlessparts.com to learn more. Paperless Parts, quoting made simple, profitable, and powerful.
Yeah, so, I grew up at a young age. I was able to work in some plastics factories. There's quite a bit of that in this area. And I, kind of grew up understanding the business. Skipping forward, I earned a scholarship to play college football at Ball State University. At the time, they had the #1 entrepreneurship program undergraduate in the country. And I got accepted to that. We were challenged with our thesis of writing a business plan from scratch. You have to pitch that, and it's pass-fail. So if you fail the course, you don't graduate. So everything's on the line. All I knew was plastic compounding, engineered thermoplastic compounding, and so that's what I wrote my business plan on. I ended up getting $5,200 credit on a Discover card. In college, I started the company on that Discover card. Bought our first 3 truckloads on that Discover card of recycled material, sold it to a contact in Houston, Texas for cash, paid the card off, and the rest is history. So skipping forward, ran the company for about 32 years. We're now private equity sponsored. We have a parent company also in the plastic business, but more in the commodity side in PVC. We are the engineered thermoplastic platform for Aurora Plastics out of Streetsboro, Ohio. Our private equity sponsor is Nautic Partners out of Providence, Rhode Island. And we're on our way in the engineered side to be approaching 100 million in revenue. And we're looking to go, I think the entity before the next event, the target is around 300 or 400 million in EBITDA of revenue. So pretty aggressive. It's a new thing. This is I monetized my life's work in partnering with these guys. So it's a lot of new tools, a lot of new pressures, things like that. But our team is up for it. We prepared a lifetime to get there. And our team is up for the challenge, and they're embracing it, and it's going really, really well. So, yeah.
Yeah, so just to recap a little bit there at the end, and for maybe any of our listeners that aren't keeping up with all the terminology and things. So Jim started it on a Discover card, grew the company for 32 years. And when you talk about the private equity sponsors, that was essentially your exit. I mean, I know you reinvested a little bit in the new company, but that was more or less you exiting your life's work, the company you built. I know you're still leading it today. I say exit it, monetized it.
Well,
you took some chips off, a significant amount of chips off the table. And so
yes,
we
sir.
started with $5,000 on a Discover card and exited, I'm sure, many, many, many times that. But there was a lot of challenges along the way to allow that. And I think that's one of the things I'd love to explore with you. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners are thinking about their exit, even if it's down the road, or maybe it's pretty imminent here, and they're thinking about that exit and what are the things we need to do to get ready for that. And even though you're not a metal fabricator, you're in manufacturing, and a lot of the same laws of economics apply. The way the businesses are operated apply. Our leadership,
very similar.
Org charts look very similar.
Yes, sir. And you touch on that. To clarify. When you grow the business, you want to make sure that your, our business, like your business, is very capital intensive. You've got very expensive equipment, you've got bricks and mortar, you have manufacturing space, equipment, transportation equipment, all those kinds of things. And for us to grow to the next level from where we were, we needed a partner. It could have been strategic, it could have been private equity. We have really a strategic partner that's private equity sponsored. So a lot of people get very concerned, or they fear private equity. But I think the thing to keep in mind and not be fearful is that it's a financial sponsor is all it is. It could be it's a replacement for conventional banking. There is more pressure because the time slots. There's a lot of pressure to very rapidly produce profits and show those profits to shareholders and bring in value. It's not to be feared. And I think that now with, I've been asked to be on the mergers and acquisitions team at Aurora, and it's been a very eye-opening thing for me because, I had one swing at the plate to monetize my life's work, okay? And it was clear that, when you have that shot, you want to knock it out of the park. You don't want to just knock it over the fence. But there's a balance there because as a business where our people over the 32 years become family, my first priority was to take care of my people. And part of that is, number one, doing what you say you're going to do, right? Not tell them you're going to do one thing and then do something else and scare the heck out of them that way. But also, we were committed to growing the business and staying with the business. So my reinvestment into the business very aggressively, it was a sign to them that, hey, I'm sticking around. I'm still in my same office, and we're going to grow this thing to the next level. I think that's very important. And one of the things you and I talked about, Matthew, is the preparation to get there for these events. Whether you're ever going to sell or not, the way we always approached business is that we were going to run our business like we were never going to sell it. And if you do that and do all the right things all the time, not some of the time, but all the time, great things will happen. And the most important thing is you're prepared when an opportunity does come along. You may think, hey, it's a family business. I'm never going to sell. I'm never going to get a partner in, a financial partner. And that may be the case, and that's great. But when and if you need that, you have to be prepared. And these people will come in and they're going to sift through your business very, very closely. They want to know what they're investing in. If they sponsor those dollars, they want to know what it's going to and that you're doing the responsible thing. So, one of the fortunate things for us people talk about private equity and they're scared to death of it because they hear all these horror stories. I would be not telling the truth if I didn't say that ours has gone pretty well perfect. So we're 2 years in. Next month it'll be 2 years. And part of that is because we found a group. We spent 15 years preparing for this moment. These guys, our partner now, approached us 6 times in 5 years. And we finally made the move to due diligence, and it worked out, in part because it was a perfect match of cultures. They were already private equity sponsored. They got us very comfortable with the model, and they had the same core values. It was almost a mirror image of values. We said, look, we're going to tell you what our expectations are day one, and we made them tell us. So we were interviewing them more than they're interviewing us to purchase the company. So it was more about us, because if you're going to walk away day one, hey, you try to get all the money you can and you move on. But if we're going to stick around and we want to grow this thing and be responsible citizens and a partner in the community, we want to maintain our world-class reputation, right? So that's what it was all about, and there have been no surprises. So, we ran a very tight business, and they were very happy with what we had, and I think it worked out great for them to purchase us as the platform company and then bolt on other acquisitions since then.
People may not understand what you're saying when you say the platform company. And so, and let's back up even a step. So the folks that actually bought you were another operational plastics company.
Correct.
They were owned by private equity.
Correct.
So
that's correct.
So they were operational. They acquired you, but then they held you out as a platform, as opposed to integrating you totally into their business. They let you remain independent, and then explain what it means to be. Because being independent is one thing, being a platform is something else. So explain what that means.
So our parent company, Aurora Plastics, is primarily in PVC, which is fencing, the Trex decking, siding, gutters, window trim, wire and cable for fiber optic wire, a lot of it's polyvinyl chloride. Our product lines, engineered thermoplastics, are on another planet, basically. So their growth aspirations were to get into our space. And so as a platform company, that just means we were the first one in to build this model. So they're using us as the model to say, okay, these guys have a great platform they built, very good processes, both on manufacturing side, the way we go to market, our customer base, and all those things that another company that we would acquire, whether it's something in a different product line or it could be a competitor. And in fact, we've already acquired one of our competitors in town. Recently, we closed on it December, and we're in the process of integrating them currently. It's working great because it's more of the same.
But as the platform, they roll up under.
They roll up under us, and the management, the leadership team is very comfortable with the systems that we've already built, albeit not perfect. No system's perfect, and we're going to hone those as we go forward. But it makes it easier for smaller businesses to be plugged into that system. So, albeit not perfect, they can plug in, and we're rocking down the road, and growing that business along the way. And the beauty of it is, as we pick up these synergistic businesses, we pick up other product lines, because we've never been a company as a standalone company trying to be everything to everybody. We say, hey, these are our products that we do very well. We're world class. We do it for John Deere, Boeing Aerospace, BMW, Ford Motor Company, General Motors, a lot of world class companies. But we don't do everything, So as we grow, what they want to do is they want to give our sales force, both direct and distribution, more tools in their bag to go out and, offer more offerings to other customers and grow the business that way. Plus the trust that we build along the way. Our customers want to buy as many products as they can from us, because we're a known quantity. We're known for our world-class quality and service and those kinds of things, much like Nix,
Hey guys, Casey with Making Sparks. I'm sitting here with Adam Schmidt from Profab Alliance. Adam, I was looking at the Profab Alliance website and I keep seeing these 3 points: community, consulting, and franchising. And I just wanted to ask you, what does all that mean?
It's essentially our platform. You know, it's how we break it down, and that's our services that we offer to our members. Starting out with that community, built around kind of the peer group model, but it goes farther than that. Work sharing, and then eventually cooperative benefits and cooperative purchasing, and would love to have an annual event someday for people to really come and experience Profab in its fullest. And then the consulting piece, there's also 3 main offerings of that. So it starts off with the strategic planning and coaching. We have the one-on-one fractional leadership and sport, all built upon the final one, which is our management systems and toolkits. The final pillar, that third pillar, is our franchising. It's our newest offering, something that you're able to take everything and bundle it up into one. So you're basically getting everything. That's going to be powered by Nix Industrial. Excited for the opportunity for, new franchisees to come on board.
So what are some of the things that you did to get ready for that exit, and what did a couple questions. One, you mentioned, let's put that question on hold for a minute. You mentioned earlier, run it like you're going to keep it forever. Explain what exactly that means. Yeah. Like practically speaking, like what would you do different if you're going to run it like you're never going to sell it, as opposed to running it like I'm about to sell it? Maybe give some practical examples.
So I think as we could have become a family business, generational business. I have 4 children, and there's always a thought of passing it on to the next generation. I think that when you peel the business back, no matter what size, whether you're family owned or whether you're privately held or sole proprietorship, it does not matter. You're trying to create value at every turn. And I had a mentor about 25 years ago, when I was much younger, of course, say, hey, you need to concentrate on creating value, all the way down to Post-it notes and paper clips. If they don't bring value to your organization, you get rid of it. So I never forgot that advice, and I started trying to build value. And what another mentor, Dr. Timms, taught me was always try to get yourself breathing room. And breathing room means pay down your debt, plow back into your business, invest in your people, train your people, get people to come and stay. A lot of folks come and they want to job hop and do all that kind of thing. You want to create a culture where people feel like it's family. No matter how big you get, you don't want to lose that, because you want people to come and stay and say, hey, this is a place I want to build a career. This is where I want to stay. And that's what we tried to do. So all of the noise of the day-to-day and all that kind of thing, we just kept trying to lift ourselves out of that and look at the big picture and say, hey, are we doing the right things? Number one, for our customer, because the customer pays the bills, but then understand that it's your people that make it happen. We run a 24-hour operation around the clock, and every single person is important. That third shift guy is as equally as important as myself or anybody else on first shift. And they know that. It's a culture you build over time. So when you think about partnering with another business, whether it's a joint venture, or you're selling to them, or you're gonna, think about transitioning out of the business or whatever, it's important to who you hitch your wagon to, right? I mean, they have to be aligned. And our partners and the people that helped us train our people up and prepare for the sale event of our company at some point, it's a smart thing to do regardless, Matthew, because what if we're all hit by a bus tomorrow? That's a possibility, right? And you want this business to go forward, whether we're here or not. And part of it was the revelation from a mentor that said, look, you owe it to your people to make sure that you don't have to be there running this business for them to be very successful. And when you think about that and you can check your ego at the door and do that, that's when you create tremendous value in your company. And that's why these people were coming at us like spider monkeys wanting to buy our business, because they loved the model. They loved the team that we had built. They knew we had trained our managers up and we had a good leadership team at every level. And that's true. That's creating true value.
Yeah. So a couple things I think that stick out there. One you really touched on, one we didn't so much. But as far as running it like you're not going to sell it, the first one that I heard you saying is basically build the business so that it doesn't rely on you as the owner operator. And then the second one I would say is you have to continue to invest in your business. You touched on that, invest in your people, but it's also literally investing back into the capital infrastructure,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
So you can't just start trying to bleed. I mean, I guess you can, but you're probably still not going to maximize the value. And if the deal does fall apart, now you've got a crappy company. You can't just bleed it dry leading up to the deal. You need to keep reinvesting. And, in terms of getting it ready to run without you, I think that's the harder one of the two. And that's one of the ways the business we started, ProFab, that's one of the things we do is interact with clients to help them get ready. So I know, talking from you, in fact, we took some of the things out of your playbook. There's some things you did. You brought some experts and some consultants in that worked with your team. A lot of it was behavioral type stuff and making sure people were properly equipped for the right spot on the org chart. Maybe touch on that a little bit, and some strategic planning you did.
So what we found, we hired a gentleman that was an adjunct professor at IU at the business school, and particularly in human resources. And we brought him in. I met him through a CEO roundtable group I belong to in Indianapolis. And, it was eye-opening when he came in. He said, look, if I can come in on a regular basis and start building a relationship with your middle management, they will tell me much more eventually than they're going to tell you, Jim, as the CEO. And he said, we need to know where their head is, right? And we need to build that trust that they can air their laundry and say, look, if the business would do this, or I need these tools and those kinds of things. So what we started doing is peeling it back to get to what's real. And then you've got something tangible, Matthew, that you can change if change needs to be made. Part of the change might mean that person needs to go. And we've always been very kind to say, hey, we'll help you find other places, but this place isn't for you. And so it exposes a lot of that stuff that in small business, it's easy to move somebody around. You don't want to let them go. You've built this relationship with them, so you move them in another area of the business. Sometimes,
you're talking about bringing an objective. That's part of it. That's just a part. But you're bringing an objective opinion to the table. I was talking to a consultant the other day that said they literally had to help their dad, help the CEO fire his son.
Yes.
And I mean, incredibly painful thing to do, and ultimately, was the best thing not only for the business, in the end, for the father and son.
Yes.
But
Chris,
but you need people to help.
Chris said, listen, those kinds of changes are, because you don't want to not be able to talk to your father at the at Thanksgiving dinner and those kinds of things. But what always happens, and again, this is going back to always doing the right thing. After the dust settles, there's going to be a sigh of relief that, yes, that was the right thing, and we're both happier, and it's the right thing for the business. And what we try to keep in mind is, I would always tell people when they would come in and it would be all about them, at any level of the business, when it was all about them, I would say, look, I hear you and I understand and I sympathize, but we have 97 families eating off our table. And it's my fiduciary responsibility to take care of all 97 families, not just employees, families. And it kind of sheds light. I mean, it's a different conversation almost immediately every time to get people to understand, our side of it as owners. And hey, we do have your best interest in mind. And for 32 years, I've told our employees that I love them, and they know that it's genuine. It's not BS. They know that we care. We've done a lot of extras for our employees, so they know we have their back. And that's important because they'll run through the wall for you if they know you would do the same for them,
I'd love to know, has that culture carried over with the acquisition? Like has the team felt like Like it's a continuation or anything like that?
Yeah, it is. And I will tell you, the group out of Streetsboro that I know the most, so a lot of the executive leadership team is out of Streetsboro, Ohio. And I've gotten to know these guys in the past 2 years. We're on many meetings in a day and weekly leadership team meetings and all. And they're exactly like we are. I mean, they're just common folk. They truly care about the people. They're very compassionate and passionate people, wicked smart. So there's a lot of brain power that we added to our arsenal with this acquisition. So it's all been good. But our people, at first, it is tough, Casey. It's a great question, because what I was trying to do is get people to understand, people don't like change. And it's not that they're seeing change take place, but they're thinking, okay, what's this mean for me? Okay. And whether they say it out loud or not, that's exactly what they're thinking. And time again, I would say, look, nothing's changing. You're getting the tools that you need to take this business into the stratosphere, and that's what we want to do. You don't want to be with a company that's going backwards or stagnant. We're going to the stratosphere, and you need to hitch your wagon to what we got going. And it works, because now, 2 years in, they're taking a sigh of relief, because, hey, Stratman told us nothing was going to change, and guess what? It really hasn't. So
they left the Stratman sphere to go to the stratosphere?
Yeah.
That my dad joke for today?
Yeah.
Casey, that can be your dad's joke. But you couldn't help yourself. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good thing. But it's what you guys do every day. It's you care about your people. It's not fake. It's genuine. You care about the community, and that goes a long way with people, because we've got these wicked smart people in our organization, and we overcomplicate a lot of things. And interestingly enough, it comes back to the people making it happen on the floor, and it's the stuff you learn in kindergarten, right? Is you treat people well, with dignity and respect. You work hard.
You add value.
You add value. You give credit where credit's due, and you just keep trying to get better. But people need to hear that. It's like I can't monetize the company and still be at the helm and not go out and shake hands with people and ask them how their weekend was. I still do that. That's just me. That's how I'm wired. And as long as I'm there at the helm, that's what's going to happen, And we're trying to spill that into our future acquisitions too. We talk about that. It gets tougher as you get bigger, as with logistics and, being in different towns and things like that. But we are not afraid to get in front of people. And it's pressing the flesh. It's not on the internet. It's not on Teams calls. It's being in front of people and letting them look you in the eye and knowing that this is real, and it works.
You mentioned, which a lot of us say, something about, it's like a family. And ironically enough, Casey and I were at an event last night together. He was one of the speakers there. And it was a great event. But one of the speakers talked about, I was so hilarious, but she said something about, we're all like a family, and she made a joke about it. And I've also seen some things on social media recently where they're like, please, whatever you do not say we're like a family. But what she did was she put up on the screen, she said, okay, we're like a family. She put the Kardashians up there and then the Brady Bunch. And she's like, okay, which family are we? Yeah. And I thought that was brilliant, because we all kind of know what we mean when we say we're like a family. And I know your company and I know ours, and we mean it, and a lot of people, I don't tell them to say that. They really associate that. And so we kind of generally know what they mean. I think more or less, it means they have my best interest at heart, right? I trust them. But if you really want to take that, like, peel the onion back, I think it's so important to say, like, okay, what kind of family are we? To your point, like, you can be a very driven and a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Motivated, driven, goal-oriented family. There's competitive.
You could say competitive.
So we describe our culture as progressive and competitive. And so, but that's, and you don't have to apologize for that. And you can say, look, if you want to be a part of this, that's right. If you want to be a part of this family, we are goal oriented. We are aggressive. We expect these things.
I feel
out
like
of you.
that competitive part was in my speech last night.
I feel like it kind of was too. Yeah.
So-
you did a nice job of plugging that.
So I'm going to sound like a grandpa when I want to add something to that, because this is something to consider as you guys grow. And one of the things I learned, I had no idea, right? But I had I had several people over the years come into my office off the plant floor, and they came in, and I'm thinking these guys are gonna resign, or they want to come tell me, hey, this, I got to move on or whatever. And I've had 3 people in my 32 years that physically came in my office and told me that no one had ever told them that they loved them. So when you talk about family, you don't know where people are in life. And we have team members in our company that don't have family. So we are their family.
Man, we're getting deep this morning. We joked about this morning.
Yeah, we didn't make our first interview.
Yeah.
No,
we
that's a good
may
thing.
want to edit that out. But,
No, that's great, Jim.
but I will tell you don't know what people are going through, right? And you kind of assume people are in our world, that they go home at night and their kids are healthy and they eat a meal and this and that. There are people that go home at night living paycheck to paycheck that may not be able to do that at all for their kids. And you just don't know. And as the owner, CEO of the company, I've had people come in on the personal level because I've earned their trust over the years, and trust in telling me things that I shouldn't probably know or didn't want to know. We've consulted them, but they've come to us and told us, EnviroPlast over the years has been my family. That's all I got. So just, I want you to think about that, because we overuse the word family because family is the core of everything, right? The nuclear family is the core of everything. God and family and country and those kinds of things. And when you talk about family as a company, that's how you win. That's how you create true value. Regardless of how hokey it is, it's really not, because
Well, you're living it. That's the difference.
You are living
can't
it.
just call yourself a family. I mean,
Yeah.
and you tell your employees you love them, and that's something you do, and it's authentic. The next guy, that may not make sense for him.
it
or
would be
her,
weird. Yeah.
and it'd be weird, right? That's right.
Sure.
If I went around the shop tomorrow and started hugging everybody, it would like, what's wrong with Matthew? This is weird, But I have my own way of doing things to show them.
Well,
that I
they know
care about
you
them.
love them.
But
Yeah.
my point is, it has to be authentic, and
Sure.
and over time, people will. It's always funny when we acquire a new company, and I've just come to realize it takes time. So you just let it be. But some of the folks that you think on day one are never going to work, and it's like they're out. In 2 or 3 years, they become the biggest raving fans of the new culture, and they're the ones saying like, man, this is my family now. And
Yeah. It's happened to us
but you have
countless.
to prove it. You have to prove it
right.
to them.
And time does that. And unfortunately, a lot of younger people, it's tough for all of us. I don't care what business you're in. You talk to everybody, and even globally, we talk to companies every day. They're going through the same things. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It's tough to get people. People aren't as loyal as they used to be, and those kinds of things. They're always looking for the next shiny penny. So it's tough, and you do have to differentiate yourself as a business to keep creating that value. It's tough because, it's disheartening when you take 5 steps forward and 3 more back. It gets old, but you just keep plowing forward, and great things will happen.
When you tell your employees you love them, I also understand you're not just walking around saying that all day. I know you're
Right.
saying it when it makes
At the
sense.
right moment, yeah.
Right. But has that ever like hit people wrong or bother them, or you get any?
No, because I don't say
they
it.
think
I don't say it to the new folks that I don't have a relationship with yet.
See that?
You don't
You
just
know.
say, just remember, I love you.
Yeah.
Right. So and that's what I was getting at. So it can't be disingenuous.
Yeah, it's
like
and they know there are milestones in their career that they hit, and we rewarded some for that, and we have years of service bonus awards that we give for loyalty and all that kind of stuff, because it means something to us, and we emphasize that, because you can't just show up and go through the motions. Some people show up for a paycheck. they go through the motions. But we have, the interesting thing is, and this is what's really interesting about Aurora, is and the culture gel that we have going on, is that we have a whole team of people that really care. I mean, they care almost too much, where, sometimes you can, good or perfect can be the enemy of just getting things done and going through it. We strive for perfection in most everything we do, but people care about that. They know it's important to the organization, and they can put sometimes some undue pressure on themselves to get there. But it's awesome because none of these people are going through the motions. They're passionate about, hey, that's my name on that work, and I want it to be right. I don't want anybody coming back and saying, well, that was Debbie's fault, or that was John's fault, or whatever, And we don't point fingers, but they just care. And it's again, something you learn in kindergarten, to care about what you do. It's important to write legibly, where people can read it. Little things like that. And, it works. It just works.
Was there ever a time when you were growing your business that you made the conscious decision to say, I'm going to really take care of our team members? Because, I'm early in my business, right? And Matthew knows, when we do our strategic planning, one of the things I always talk about is, if we're not as profitable because somehow we become really good at offering the best benefits, offering the best time off, a lot of flexibility and work-life balance and all that. I truthfully can say, I want that because, I've had people that they're like, you can't get off, you can't go see your kids or whatever, but I can't do that right now, right?
No,
I can't make that decision on a monetary standpoint, but I can kind of make a cultural decision to say that's what we're working towards.
Yeah, you made the decision that's important to you. And I think that's the key. And you work through that. We just had a couple years ago, we had our first 10-year anniversary, and we sent them on an all-inclusive trip to Mexico, them and their wife. And Casey knows this because he captured it on video. And, I didn't have to tell them I love them. They knew it. And they were crying. I was crying. We did it at the Christmas party in front of everybody. And made a big deal about it, put sombreros on them, played beers in Mexico.
What did your CFO think about you saying you're going to do that?
So that's where I'm going with this. I'm coming back to what you said. I wanted to do that for a long time. We had to get to a point, and we made a decision. We were just doing the first one, but now every team member hits 10 years, goes on that trip now. So it was a big financial decision to make. But my point is, it took us time to get to that point. But I didn't just wake up one day and say, this is what we're going to do. It was, everybody knew that I'm really passionate about rewarding loyalty, like Jim said, but also I think people spending meaningful time together is really important. So that's why
team building.
That's why I chose a trip, because when you go on a 10-year anniversary trip, you remember that. You spend time with your wife and perhaps a few coworkers, and Lindsay and I went along, and you come back and you talk about it. You share pictures, and 10 years from now, you look back on those pictures, and that's, if we would hand them the cash or hand them twice the cash that the trip cost, it wouldn't have the impact. I know I'm going on a
no, you're exactly
here,
right.
But my point of all that is that's something I'm passionate about, and I was able to align that.
Yeah.
Casey is more passionate about work-life balance than I am, and that's fine. We see the world a little bit differently. I don't care, but so for him, he should embrace that, and he should focus. Maybe just hypothetical, instead of sending on somebody on a trip, maybe he gives somebody a 1 month sabbatical once they hit the 10-year marker. You can do different things to reward loyalty. But your question, Casey, did he wake up one day and decide he was going to do that? I think it's probably in your DNA, but you were able to do more things as time went on.
Well, it's tough. And I will tell you again, an attorney mentor of mine who's since passed away gave me some advice when we were talking about preparing to sell. This was years ago. And one of the things I said to him was, never forget the conversation. He said, what do you plan to do to reward your people that have helped you build your team to this point? And I said, well, I'm thinking about stock options, as the company grows or whatever. And he said, well, why would you do that? And I said, well, isn't that kind of thinking, hey, isn't that what you do? You give them a little bit of the company, or they earn in or whatever. And he said, well, how do you know that's what they want? He started quizzing me on all this stuff. And it starts to hit you. So guess what I did? I went back, took his advice. I went back to my team. And not one of them even really knew what stock options were and what it meant, or cared to even have them. And so I went back to Dave and I said, Dave, you were right. He's like, yeah, Jim, they don't want that. One might want extra time off. One might want a check, cash in the bank, or they may want you to buy some real estate for them or something, as a reward or whatever. Everybody's going to want something different. So don't assume one size fits all. Now, you can't wear yourself out doing all this kind of stuff. And the other piece, caution for your audience too, is that, a lot of times things that you try to do and you think, hey, man, this is going to be great. This is a team building thing. And you start these traditions and then it's expected. It's in other words, it's not a treat anymore. And it isn't accomplishing what it was set out to do. Now it's, they're taking this away from me or whatever. If you have to shift gears, maybe you've got a down year and you have to pull back, can't have the Christmas party this year or something like that. We've had those times. And, people, you're never going to please everybody. So that's really the message. I think that you guys are never going to have a problem in any of your businesses where people are going to misunderstand you or worry about whether or not you care about them. You're just wired that way. I know you guys well enough, and that's what it's really all about at the core. No matter what you do for them, it could be over the top, or it could be almost nothing. And to a point where we've done things before we thought, man, this is going to be more of an insult to them than a treat. And you don't want that, but you know what? They'll appreciate it.
Pizza parties, right?
Pizza party. Our guys love free pizza.
Yeah, that's like the big meme where they're like, a big corporation will be like, we really appreciate you. Here's a pizza party. I like pizza party, but that's
occasionally.
my favorite.
Well, one of our shops they bought, but again, they did this on their own accord. Their general manager, but they bought a hot dog warmer, like the thing you see in the gas station, and they do like, I don't know, hot dog Wednesday or Thursday or something, and they do it every week, and they just think it's the coolest thing. But like, they wanted to do it, and
yeah,
like, fine, buy the $200 hot dog warmer, but to your point, like sometimes it's the simplest stuff that
could be simple.
Well, this is good conversation. I think we're coming up on the end of the time. So, Casey, you got any final thoughts or questions for Jim?
Jim, I always appreciate you just sharing your story, and I know you said edit out your emotion, but man,
the vulnerability
people
is
like
awesome.
That stuff, and it's realistic. Like to hear someone. I always say it's not really what you're saying; it's how you say it. And people are going to mostly listen to this, and they're going to hear that you passionately talk about your team members, and the fact that you went from where you started your business to, somewhat exiting it, right? Well, maybe we should do it. If I want to get to that point, maybe I should listen to this guy over here that's talking about his team so much. Well,
one parting thought that you guys should know, and again, this is just some wisdom that I've gleaned over the years, is that these people, doesn't matter who it is, it could be your employees or your leadership or even your banker or whoever, people are watching you and they're paying attention to what you say. And I'm not talking about walking on eggshells, because I'm certainly not that way. I say what's on my mind, and sometimes it gets me in trouble. But people do pay attention to how you're acting, and they pick up on those kinds of things. And what you say matters as a leader. What you say matters.
We underestimate that.
Absolutely.
If you are a reasonable person with a reasonable amount of humility, I think you underestimate the influence. And I was actually just talking to our shop foreman yesterday about this. We made a big change in leadership. It was above him, and we made a change in leadership. And I was just taking the temperature, walking the shop floor, figuring it out. And I was asking him about it. I said, how's your team handling the news? And he said to me, well, no one's really said anything yet. And I said to him, don't you underestimate the fact that they're waiting to see what you say and how you react. And so that's exactly what you're saying. And that had not occurred to him.
And silence is deadly.
That had not occurred to him.
Deadly.
He's like, well,
because you're kind of imagining what's going on.
And they were thinking, well, are we supposed to be excited? Are we not supposed to be excited? How's he going to react? And we're waiting to see. And so that really brought it to the surface for me even more. I was like, he hadn't really thought about that before. How many times do I do what he's just doing? You know, and
Well, and you guys are the master at it. I've always admired. No, I always admire. What I'm getting ready to say is one last thing is, you know, you guys are out there to your people. You're out on the web. You're on LinkedIn. You're everywhere. I see it. I follow you guys.
Transparency.
It's transparency, but you're bold. You're bold. And here's what our adjunct professor from IU told us about culture. He said, there's no question, Jim, that people love drama. They love gossip. They love drama. They want to know the news. They want to be in the know, no matter what position they're in your company. And they're going to do one or two things in the moment of silence, or when everything is, we think as managers, is normal. They're going to create drama. And it's either going to be positive drama or it's going to be negative drama. And he said, what you have to do as an organization, and you guys do this best of any company I've seen, you're always on offense. You're on offense creating the narrative saying, hey, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're providing care.
Or here's the problem.
Here's the problem.
Here's the issue we got to fix.
Well, the community involvement, hey, we're painting the dugouts at the ball field with a team of our Nix employees and things like that. That's drama, and that's positive drama. And without that, you know, we don't do enough of it, you know. So you get people, and when they start, just like you're talking about, when they start wondering what's going on, it's always negative because, oh my gosh, what's this mean? Or here they go again, or they're gonna sell our division off or something, freaking out, you know. So you want to always keep that positive. That's a good takeaway there too. But
yeah, so true. People, when business gets slow, we've noticed, and people have more time on their hands. That's when we're going, you know, going hard, and people are working overtime. When you think that they would be causing drama, it's actually the opposite of that, because it's like, no, we just got to get the job done.
yeah, they're focused on that. Yeah,
It's very interesting. But yeah, good parting thoughts, Jim. So
yep.
thank you very much. We'll sign off here. Remember, before we do, to rate us, review us, and share it, right? Did I get that right, Casey?
I guess it's refer us. But,
refer us.
But
yeah,
share,
so-
I think share is probably the more actionable term.
Okay.
You're right.
Just tell people about this if you
And
like.
tell us about some guests.
Yeah,
right?
we want more great guests on the show, so please reach out to us on LinkedIn. You can find Casey and I both on LinkedIn. Love to hear from you. Have more great guests.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored to be a part of this. And, it's great stuff.
Great story, very inspiring. So, Jim, in your industry, it'd be a little bit different, but in our industry, we say if you're not making sparks,
you're not making money.
there you go. And in Jim's world, if you're not making pellets, you're
That's
not making
right.
money.
That's exactly
Pretty
right.
simple.
Yeah. And
All right, thank you.
And we like it.